Hey guys, I'm out here looking like Casper the Ghost on my face. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. And I'm out here training, 76 degrees, feeling definitely warm and humid, but there is a little bit of a breeze, so we're gonna try to have a good day. I'm out here today in the Puma Clyde All-Pro Nitros basketball shoe, and here it is from the side, here it is from the other side. So the other day, a couple days ago, I did a 6.5 mile long run, and I was going to do them in these shoes, and I got about a quarter mile in and realized that was a mistake. Fortunately, I had a pair of Vomero 17s in the car, so I switched those out. And even with those, I guess my running mechanics and my running gait and all of that, really bad ultimately. So I lasted about 3 miles in, and then after that, my knees just kind of were giving out on me. I did ultimately meet my pacing goals, but just barely. I used the metronome to help me through, and I had to essentially walk the last half of that effort, and I couldn't walk for about 2 hours. But the strange thing was I went home, barely could walk, get in the house. I had my wife had made me like 2 big bowls of spaghetti with meat sauce and all that, and I just sat on the couch for like 2.5 hours. But after those 2.5 hours, I basically sprung up like it was no big deal, and I went and did a strength workout. I was really shocked at the amount of recovery that happened within just a small amount of time. Now let's talk about the aesthetics right now. I got a big stripe across my forehead. That's because I was wearing my hat backwards for 3 hours straight in the sun. And so now the only sunblock I had in the house was my kid's mineral sunblock, which makes you look like Casper the Ghost. So basically, I've got all those areas covered in sunblock, with the exception of the white stripe, and I'm just trying to like balance out the shades at this point. I have a new job starting on Monday, and I kind of just don't want to walk up in there with a big white stripe on my forehead. You know what I mean? So during that long run, I did have some time to evaluate what it was that I was doing, and I've made some decisions that are going to kind of alter the course of my training. The first of which is shoe selection. So I started this channel out as a shoe. It's basically about shoes. It'll always be about shoes. But this was also my fitness journey along the way, and just chronicling that. Well, part of that was doing long runs in a different shoe each week. After my experience this past long run, I'm realizing we're at distances now where I can't like play around with that. I really have to utilize the best shoes that I have to cover longer distances, just for my own longevity, my own health, all of that. I need to be able to use the best that I have. You know, along with the training that I've been doing, it's a mix between what you would consider like zone 2, and yeah, there's some zone 3 and 4 work and occasional sprinkle of zone 5. And it's just kind of mixed. And I think that's an okay approach for someone else. But for me and my issues related to my knees and all of that, I have to kind of save the joints for when it's going to matter, say in a race or an extended long run. So I've made the decision to focus my efforts on building a better aerobic base in zone 2, and do majority of all of my workouts in zone 2, and then occasionally if I'm feeling great, my legs are feeling great and everything, then I will go ahead and throw in some sprint work. So just try to do some HIIT training on those particular days. My body doesn't give a crap about my weekly schedule and my weekly training plan, and whether or not I do a high intensity training session on Friday. It doesn't give a crap what day I have allotted that. It's only ready when it's ready. So I want to take the time to listen to the body, again, train the aerobic base, and then do those higher intensity sessions when my body will allow it. Last night I was in the gym, and as I'm doing kind of a full body workout, just different machines, different movements, I realized that everything was feeling really strong, with the exception of my hamstrings. They are very weak right now. They're toast. So I can lift about half of what my standard weight would be for the hamstrings. So again, they're pretty much toast. So on these zone 2 sessions, I'm going to definitely alternate footwear as I've always done, because it's low impact. It's not really a big deal, but especially at where my zone 2 is. But yeah, for those long runs, I've got to use the best. The other issue that I am facing is the fact that my long runs and the amount of time that it takes to cover those long runs no longer really fits into, you know, an optimal schedule for work. I usually like to run it outside, but now it would mean that I would need to be outside running around 5 a.m. And earlier, 4:30 in some cases. I'm not going to do that. Around here, I mean, in Kentucky, we have abundant wildlife. And a lot of it happens, you know, a lot of it can be seen, you know, at night, and you just, not doing that. I'll do a 6 a.m. run when visibility is, you know, still low, but when it's like pitch black outside, I'm not running out in the woods, guys. Just not doing it. So at this point on those runs, I'm going to be taking it to Planet Fitness and letting the treadmill handle that distance. I wasn't the biggest fan of that, but I also have to realize that it would probably be better on my joints if I work the treadmill rather than have this asphalt work me every week. So we'll just kind of go with that. All the other cardio sessions will be outside and as normal, but that long run will probably have to be done on the treadmill. And the other day, I tried to do the long run in the afternoon after work, and it just wasn't good for me at all. I was just out of it. So it'll have to be in the morning. And as the distance increases, I'll have to get up earlier and earlier to go into the gym. But I'm completely fine with that. It's just trying to do it at the end of your day is kind of it's a rough ask, especially when I'm lifting weights on the same day. Trying to do weightlifting session after the long run, that's really hard to do. Surprisingly though, it did work the last time. I don't know what the heck happened there, but I typically like to have some more distance and time in between my hard sessions, you know. I'm using the CMF Pro 2, just one of them. I like to be able to hear my surroundings and stuff. From an audio standpoint, they sound really good. And then, and I talked about them on a previous video. Problem I was having was they were sliding out all the time, like all the time. I've since replaced the ear tips with some ones that were available on Amazon that were well reviewed. It's definitely made them more tolerable, but nowhere near where even a $6 pair of On from Walmart, those fit better than these. I can feel them slipping out occasionally. Even if I swallow and it moves some kind of muscle in there, it'll kind of push the earbud out. So still frustrating. From an audio standpoint, fantastic. From an exercise standpoint, pretty much impossible for me. So these shoes, they've been fantastic. I really like these from a casual standpoint. I was using them to, I was on my feet a lot on Friday and I was wearing these and they felt really nice. I do have an orthotic in there, but overall they just felt really good. There was no pain, no issues at all. They feel nice and low to the ground, yet cushioned, cushioned enough for basketball. And for that purpose, they're fantastic. I remember I played a game of basketball, several games, out on an outdoor court, and I couldn't get over how good these things felt for basketball. They were just everything I wanted in a shoe. Plus, they matched this StreetFighter shirt. Hey, I want to talk about something within the running community that I'm seeing. Half the videos that I see on YouTube are basically saying, go in zone 2 to build a stronger aerobic base. It takes a lot of time, but because of the low impact, you can be out there for long periods of time. Builds the mitochondrial base. So before you know it, well, not before you know it, but you know what I mean. Eventually, we'll say eventually, the heart rate comes down, and all of a sudden you can run at that lower heart rate and cover your distances in fast time, and your heart rate never rises, you know, at least to the extent that it did prior to the low heart rate training. Now, the other half of the YouTube videos out there basically saying that idea is stupid. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, that the idea of running slow to get fast is idiotic. And look, the way that I see it is you've got credible people on both sides saying the exact opposite. As a beginner, that is a little confusing, you know, like which route do you take? Someone like me who sees, I guess, legitimacy within both viewpoints goes, well, what if you incorporated some of the ideas of both and, you know, do a little of each? Well, here's the problem with that. Both camps will give you the argument that if you are doing that, you're actually working against the principles of, you're kind of working against that whole plan, I guess. So basically, if I choose to do the majority of my base training in zone 2 and I do some sprint work, that sprint work is kind of working against me, so to speak. Same thing for the HIIT training. They would say zone 2 is kind of a waste of your time and efficiency, that you can get more done in the higher zones, you know. I guess the biggest overall point a person should take is just go out and do something. Like, do something at least, right? And then find out what works for you. As far as the, you know, the idea that a lot of my training, or the base of my training, should be focused on the upper levels of heart rate. I guess here's how I see that. If I was a millionaire and I went to my friends who potentially might not be a millionaire, and I said, you need to get that Lamborghini. For me, it might be easy to grab that car, but for them, it's not easy. And of course, they'd love to be there. They'd love to have that Lamborghini in most cases. It's just a matter of they don't have the money, simply don't have the money to do it. And so for those to say, oh, you need to do all this training in your upper zones for maximum efficiency and all of that, I'm thinking, well, if my knees and my joints could handle that much stress, I would probably do that. Because it is a lot more fun to run faster. But at this point, if I run fast, my body's freaking out. And then I'm out of like exercise for 2 or 3 days, just sitting on the couch trying to recover. That's no good. So I do see logical arguments for both. But when you're older and joints become more of an issue, I would say zone 2 training is probably the way to go. But don't listen to anything I have to say, because I'm just an old fat dude trying to get healthy, you know. All right, guys, I've been talking long enough. I've been mainly on this shaded path, and I need to get out in the sun and try to get this stripe off my forehead. All right, you all take it easy. Hopefully I'll be out here tomorrow. Later.